On this episode of Athletes Anonymous Presents After the Buzzer, we're going to be talking about the first round of the NBA playoffs and some of the eliminated teams from the Western and Eastern Conference. So we're talking about the Thunder and the Pelicans, as well as the Bulls and the Raptors on the East side. Let's get to that intro music. Welcome back to the podcast. I am your co-host, Keona McKeague, and with me, as always, are my longtime friends and co-hosts, Jared Shirai, Nolan Chang. Say what's up to the pod, boys.
Hey, what's up?
Right on. So today, obviously, we're going to be talking about some of the playoff games that have already concluded. And for those who are wondering, we are recording this on Monday, April 17th. So this, as of today, the only games that have been completed are the first round of the playoffs, and obviously the play-in tournament has concluded as well. So first and foremost, Jared, I'm going to swing it over to you. We're going to start in the Western Conference. I kind of want to get your thoughts on some of the games that happened. Obviously, we have a lot of – well, actually, no, I guess the Western Conference – never mind. I take that back. I was like, there are some pretty significant injuries. I was going to say, I feel like most of the injuries were like out east where we had a lot of like star guys out. But throwing it over to you, we obviously had the Clippers beating the Phoenix Suns, the Los Angeles Lakers beating the Memphis Grizzlies, the Sacramento Kings with a surprise victory against the defending champ Warriors, and the Denver Nuggets beating the Timberwolves. So throwing it over to you, we got some injuries there, some not so much injuries, but what are your kind of thoughts on what happened in the Western Conference?
Let's see. In the Western, we'll start with the Warriors and the Kings. Warriors and Kings, that was a great game.
The
win by 3, the opportunity.
Two of the top offenses in the league, so going back.
Two of the top offenses in the league. The Kings have just been playing great ball all year. Kind of like a sleeper team. And when we've had that beginning preseason talk, nobody counted them in, even close to the play-in. And they're the third seed, and then they end up winning game 1. I mean, they're at home. It's an electric crowd. It's kind of like playing at Chase, kind of playing at like how the Warriors used to be at Oracle. So when good things happen, like that arena gets loud for them. And like they talked about, first time in the playoffs in so many years. So just to have a team back in the playoffs, I mean, everybody's there. That place is sold out. But they've played great ball. I mean, you look at it, who is it? De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk, 30-plus, carried the offense. Got to the free throw line a ton, too, 26 times between the two of them.
It's crazy.
And they made 22 of 26 from the free throw line. So that's like 22 easy points there. But I think that's going to be a great series. I can see the Warriors bouncing back from it just in the fact of it is the Warriors.
I was just about to ask you.
Steve Kerr.
You already knew where I was going. I was about to ask you who you think is going to actually take the first round.
I honestly think the Warriors just have their experience in the bag. You can only carry like emotions so far, but a coach like Steve Kerr, who's been there, he's done it. He's got the rings. He's got the experience to prove it. I think they'll make great adjustments going into the next game because, I mean, Steph only had 30, shot 11, 20, 6 of 14, and only got to the free throw line twice. I mean, that's kind of a significant number there.
For him, especially.
For him. Just like he was 2 of 2. I was like, normally he gets there at least 10 times a game or close to it. And
it is so weird thinking that the Kings are the 3 seed and the Warriors are the 6 seed.
Yeah, because you would think if you looked at it, it'd be like, upset.
You would think it was the other way around. It's a little weird thinking that the Warriors are the 6 seed in this scenario, but
But we'll move on to the Lakers-Grizzlies. Lakers-Grizzlies, I'm always happy when the Lakers win. We want LeBron to do well. It was just nice to see everybody contribute. Their top scorer was Rui. And then it was Austin Reeves, But it's nice because that means that LeBron and AD don't have to do a whole lot, except for like on the defensive end, which LeBron played some pretty good defense, and so did AD. Like they had a lot of blocks between two. There are 10 between the two of them.
Yeah,
it says AD had 7 and he had 3, and he had a couple chase downs. So it's nice to see him playing defense in the playoffs.
That vintage, right off in the beginning.
right off the beginning, and that was a nice one too.
Oh yeah,
so
very vintage Bron. That was nice.
Yes. So watching him play defense, great. Sad on the other side, I mean, I don't want to jinx it and say anything, but it's like John Morant exits the game with his apparent hand injury. But we were in Dallas coaching, and I was talking to one of the other coaches, and he's like, "How is this guy even playing in the playoffs right now?" I mean, not to be mean about it, but it's true. We're talking about how is he in the league, and like that's a big storyline. So, Ja being out, it could be a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, we talked about it last year. We talked about it kind of this year, where Memphis is that team where they know how to rally around not having their superstar there. And Jaren Jackson Jr. Had a 31-point game. He can score when he's on. Like, he's had a pretty good bounce back season for everybody talking like kind of.
I'll say this right now. I think he may be one of my favorite players in the league.
Really?
I like it. I like him a lot. Yeah. His all around game. I don't think he's too much of a punk like the rest of that team is.
He's a dog. He's more of a dog than he is a punk.
Yeah, exactly. And I just like that I like his game, man. It's like he's kind of like that futuristic stretch big type of deal. So
yep, yeah. I agree. I really enjoy watching him play, and I think he's gonna go as far as they go. I mean, it was like last year they were gonna go as far as he goes, and when he had a bad game, they kind of dogged him because like he didn't show up, I mean, for the most of the year he carried them, and he did it in the first round. He did in the first game for them. I mean, there was nobody else really kind of notable. Maybe Desmond Bane, but the ball ran through Jaren Jackson Jr. So, but moving on, we'll go to the Clippers Suns. That was actually a surprise, for me, to be honest.
Yeah, you're telling me.
I mean, it is what it is. When Kawhi goes off. That's literally what it is. And people know how to rally around Kawhi because he's not that vocal, like, I'm a dog leader. He just puts his head down, does his job, and everybody follows suit. He's just
consistent. That's his. I feel like that's his shtick. Like, he's never necessarily like this, just like, like KD. He doesn't drop like 50 in a game, but he just consistently just, like, watching him shoot and play, like, I was like, man, he gets to his spot. He hits the shot. He just runs right back down the court, defends his ass off, and then just
and it's crazy because he consistently scores. So you don't like, and it's not like flashy scoring. So it's like by the time you realize he has 30, it's like, wait, when did he score these 30?
I know.
I'm not even gonna lie.
I agree.
That's literally what it is for me every time I watch him play.
It's nothing flashy at all about his game. Yeah.
But I think one of the biggest things is I'm looking at, I looked at the highlight. I only watched the highlights, so I didn't get to watch like the full game part of it. I was looking at the stat line. Looks like there was a good amount of foul trouble. KD had 4, Torrey Craig had 5, Ayton had 4, Paul had 4, Booker had 3. So minutes wise, I know like KD and Booker played 40 something minutes, but how much of those 40 something minutes were in crucial crunch time? When they're out, those two, especially because they're their leading scorers, like. The scoring line must have been big. Clippers must have been scoring, and they're the ones keeping them in the game. KD only took 15 shots. That kind of worries me, but it doesn't worry me. It worries me in the sense of how much are they willing to give him the ball in 45 minutes. But we all know that KD were at 27 shots. He's going to drop way more than 27.
Oh, yeah.
He took 15 shots, scored 27 points. Like, that's a KD. And he got to the free throw line 10 times. And he's a good free throw shooter, 10 on 10. Seeing him pass the ball, seeing him almost have a triple double is actually kind of nice in a KD stat line because not only is just a rebound points guy. So the fact that he had 11 assists, I was like, okay, I can see you moving the ball around, like running into your system, like getting everybody else involved, and then doing KD things when you need to. But I think as we move forward, I'm not expecting Kawhi to have like a bunch of 38-point games where he carries like that. So I think the Suns.
It's like my hot take. If KD gets bounced in the first round, then I firmly hold on to that idea that he's not a top 3 small forward. I'm telling you that to Nolan for sure. If he gets bounced in the first round with this team, bro, I'm sorry. You can't ever quantify that you're a top 3 getting bounced with this team.
I agree. I agree. But I think the Suns should bounce back. I mean, honestly, they have the firepower. They have the depth. Yeah. They have the depth enough to be able to give breaks here and there. And so that's kind of where I am with it. And lastly, the Denver Nuggets. I don't even got to say much about that, bro.
Yeah.
Win by 29. They're firing on all cylinders. Minnesota doesn't really hold a candle to them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough. You know, I talked about Edwards all year. I think he can only do so much. Karl Anthony Towns isn't the Karl Anthony Towns that like he was a few years ago or so.
He had a really poor game this one for sure.
So they're not getting help at all. And then you look on the Denver side of the ball, all 5 starters in double digits. You know, the ball's just getting moved around. 54 assists. Oh, sorry, 24 assists. But I mean, even at that, like when you're passing the ball, people are scoring. You know, and Jokic didn't even have a huge game. He had 13 points, 14 boards, and 6 assists. Normally, that guy had like 12 assists. He has a low teens triple-double.
To be fair, he had a lot of hockey assists in that game.
Yeah, he did. He did.
It was a lot of that, but it's still there. I mean, just the way they move the ball, especially with him as the catalyst, it's beautiful basketball. So
no, that's what I was going to talk about. Like the way they're such a team right now. Yeah. And there's superstars, but there's not superstars. Like they know Jokic is your MVP. They know Jamal Murray is their dog on the point guard side. Yeah. And then you have role players like Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. and KCP, man. KCP, I loved him when he was in LA, and he's doing KCP things there for them. You know,
solid road
playing
player,
that 3-and-D and just moving the ball with them, and just really about that team aspect. And I think that's one thing that's going to be going for Denver. And if they keep blowing this team out, there's going to get a lot of rest minutes, which will be like a big factor for them going into the depth of the playoffs. So
the craziest thing is, I would even argue that outside of Jokic, who obviously is like an MVP candidate, majority of his team, like, I mean, you wouldn't even consider them top 5 to top 10, you know, even sometimes.
Like Aaron Gordon, when he was with the Magic, Michael Porter Jr. was supposed to be the next big thing. His first game in college, you know. Yeah.
Jamal Murray is like, even like, would you even consider? He's definitely not top 5.
I think him as a backup point guard on some of these elite teams. You know what I mean?
It's kind of crazy to think. Yeah. It's like the way that how the team works,
The way, exactly. The way the team works, the dynamic that they have, and the philosophies that they have holding the ball on the offensive and defense side of the ball. Oh yeah, it's such a beautiful thing to watch. It's slow. It's not like flashy, but damn, it's productive.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, I'd agree. 100%. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think that's some fantastic points. You know, actually, because that was so great, I'm just going to save the East for Nolan. So Nolan, what do you think about what happened with the Eastern side of the playoffs from beginning to end? We got obviously like the Bucks losing to the Heat, which was a little bit of a surprise, even though they don't have Giannis. We also had the Celtics beating the Hawks. Not really a big surprise there. 76ers beating the Nets, also not a big surprise. And then the Knicks beating the Cavs, which was a surprise or not, depending on which of those teams you're a fan of. But which of these games stood out to you? And of the games, what were kind of the highlights and lowlights from each one? Well, actually, you know what? First, before we move on all the way to the East, starting with your Lakers, what did you kind of see from the game that kind of was good or bad as far as how the game ended and all that stuff? Obviously, they won, so.
I mean, they pulled that one out. I do have some reservations, especially with that last play-in game with the Timberwolves. It could have been a very disastrous and different tone if Gobert and McDaniels were on the court. I don't necessarily think in any way that they for sure would have won, but I do think it would have been much more of a chance. Yeah, especially because the Lakers were terrible shooting percentage-wise. There was a lot of high turnovers for us. The shots we should have been hitting, we weren't. And so it did come down to like that last quarter. I'm glad they pulled it out, made the tie, went to OT. Vegas odds, everyone wants overtime, right? So they did well. Timberwolves eventually ended up getting their win with the OKC Thunder. So good for them. And so I'm just hoping the Lakers kind of keep this roll. I mean, I know Jared's covering the West, but they did kind of hash out good win, 15-0 run with the Lakers versus the Memphis Grizzlies in the first game. John Morant possibly with an injured wrist coming into the next game. He's questionable. So it's still going to be a battle. We barely beat them last time with John Morant off the court. So they still have Dylan Brooks. They have Jaren Jackson Jr. They have all these guys that are great role players, and Memphis Grizzly has always been a team that without their star player, they're still an adequate and productive team. So Lakers still have their work cut out for them. I'm proud of them. First game, Austin Reeves and Rui completely went off, and I think it's crazy to see in, this might be a biased statement, but it's crazy to see that in the tenure that LeBron has had over 20 years, you see a team outside of the stars that he's had on his team where these role guys on any given night can step up and go off. When he was on the Cavs, the first stint with the Cavs, I wouldn't even say that there was any stars with him. So that was kind of like a disastrous showing for him. The Heat, he had Bosh and Wade. Exactly. And then he may have had one good game from Mike Miller, one good game from Ray Allen. It was never kind of like, I can consistently trust these guys. His second stint with the Cavs, same story. J.R. Smith would either show up or he wouldn't. Kyle Korver would show up or he wouldn't. But I think finally with this Lakers team, it's just try to recognize who has the hot hand first and then who can kind of carry us into the end. So very excited for how this looks. I'm going to say straight up, even if the Lakers don't make it all the way to the championship, as long as we beat the Grizzlies, I think we're doing everyone in the NBA a favor.
Yes, you are. So we're going to slide it over onto the Eastern Conference, kind of get your kind of thoughts as far as the games that happened. So we're going to start off, I guess, with the Bucks and the Heat. Obviously, the Heat take it with Giannis kind of going out there. But, yeah, so what are your thoughts on that game? What did the Heat do that you saw?
I would say the first game was, kudos to them for also stepping up in their second play-in game because they definitely needed that one. No offense to your Bulls, but it was definitely nice to see Butler kind of doing his thing as well as Max Strus kind of doing it as well.
Oh, was it nice? Was it nice to see him doing his thing?
Max is looking for that bag this offseason.
No, but for real, though. Yeah, exactly.
Bulls could try to get him.
Low key, he would be a solid piece. We'll trade you DeRozan. Nah, just joking. We would, though, but still.
I was like, interesting.
Kyle Lowry and DeRozan back together.
No, that would be
second round brothers. Just joking.
That'd be like a fairy tale ending, like where the duo that began together, now we end together.
Man, low key.
But yeah, game one
in LA.
Ran away with it. Huh?
No. In LA. They'll end up together in LA. Sign and trade for. This is like Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan to the Lakers for Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura to the two Nets.
Austin Reeves is getting that bag. I don't know if.
Perfect. Max Strus right there.
But yeah, I think the Bucks looks like the number one seed in that first game against the Heat. I wouldn't necessarily pin any bad playing from the Heat, but it was kind of, I don't know if it was maybe they had just had less time rest. Bucks kind of just went out of the gates strong, swinging. The Bucks have been playing together a long time, past just one season. A lot of them have been building that chemistry together. The Heat, they've had like a mix, I would say, over the course of the past 3-4 years of guys who've kind of come in, stepped up, new guys who've been added into the rotation. They just added Kevin Love near the trade deadline. Or was it sign? Wave and sign.
Yeah, wave and sign.
And then it's still the core guys, but it was a few guys missing. Duncan Robinson is not that guy anymore that he was there in the bubble.
Hasn't even gotten a minute.
They don't have they don't have Jake Crowder anymore. I think that this team has a very quality play to them, but it's not going to last very long. That being said, for them to take advantage of Giannis sitting out the second half due to injury from falling on his back, they stepped up to the plate and took advantage of that opportunity. So I think that if, depending on how Giannis's status is for this rest of this win under their belt is definitely going to bode well for them if they can kind of play with this same energy. Because the Bucks team is a really good team. Drew Holiday, Brook Lopez, Middleton, and then Portis. All those guys, great players. Connaughton, they all know their role, and they can play well without Giannis, but for the Heat to come in there, do their thing, I think that was very impressive. That also being said, they just lost Tyler Hero to a broken hand.
Yeah, I was about to say. I was like,
so it's kind of like a domino of all these effects from one team to the other, the shifting of what the balances are going to look like for this first round. I don't think that there's really anyone out there, maybe other than someone in the Heat organization, who thinks that they could have upset the Bucks unless there was an injury.
Hot take.
But even
I'm predicting a gentleman's sweep right after this.
Yeah, I agree as well. Because Hero, as much as he's a little cocky dude, he can ball. And
they need that scoring.
He is a big part. So we'll see how Game 3 goes for them, but I agree with you. I think it's going to be gentleman's sweep with the Bucks taking it for the rest.
Right on. So going over to the next game, we got the Celtics and the Hawks. Obviously, the Celtics take Game 1. What did you see from that? I don't think there were too many surprises, but, I mean, what was kind of your takeaway from the game?
My biggest takeaway, and I wouldn't even focus on the play of the game, or playing in the game, but we know what the Celtics bring to the table. There is a part of me that just kind of seeing how they operate now, I'm kind of siding with Jared on that pod a few weeks back where he said he thinks the Celtics are the ones that are going to be taking it this year. Because just watching them more and more, their consistent play together in operation, defensive movements, their ability to move the ball, it's very elite. Like, I don't think their record really reflects how good they are. And if you get both Jaylen Brown and Tatum to go off in one game, it's infectious for the other guys on the team. Like, Derek White just went off for 20-plus points in the first game. And that is something you don't expect from Derek White. So you have another scorer in Marcus Smart, who's also a great two-way player. You have Horford, who can get it done as well. He's a little bit more of a stretch than he used to be, but he can definitely hit those outside shots. And he can give you maybe like 12 and 7 in a game. And as a starting center in today's NBA, that's fantastic. So I definitely think that the Celtics are going to run away with this clean sweep. The Hawks, biggest takeaway for the Hawks is you guys need to just reset, because there's all these off-court controversies that are being rumored. You guys have never really made any huge drastic change other than DeJounte Murray in the offseason, and that obviously has not played out well. You guys are literally a 50-50 team. Like, the whole season, everyone jokes about the memes where they're 50-50. But
yeah. It's funny because I keep thinking they may be like a solid trade, like a good trade piece away from making a big dent. So my idea was obviously that because it's been rumored often that they trade Trae Young, but who do you think they could trade Trae Young for that would fit this team nicely, as well as be a win-win kind of situation for whatever team does actually make the trade?
The one thing I would say might be very enticing for a team, and two come to mind. One, because I kind of mentioned last time that I think Dame Lillard could try to get a sign and trade there, or trade to the Utah Jazz, because they need that kind of dynamic, great performing scorer consistently, day in and day out, point guard who can dish out the ball. And I would say Trae Young is a fantastic facilitator, not great on defense, but with his undersize, you don't really expect him to be an amazing defender in today's kind of fast-paced, a little bit more physical than it kind of was, but he's not that defender. But he can be effective, especially with a growing team like that. My other thought would be to have him go to the Pelicans. They do have some picks. You probably could maybe dish off Zion Williamson and maybe trade off maybe BI if that, kind of gets their attention a little bit, because you get a nice point guard in there. All of a sudden, now you have both Trae Young and McCollum next to each other, and McCollum played great when he was playing with Dame. So if you have that kind of backcourt duo going on, you still have a solid forward, whether you're getting rid of Zion or you're getting rid of BI, and then you still have a good solid big man roster as well. So I think if they could do
BI
that
in Atlanta, that'd be a hell of a
They
fit.
have some picks to give Atlanta as well, if that's the case. So I think it could be something to think about, you know?
Oh, boy. All right. Moving to the next one. I believe we have the 76ers beating the – oh, no, excuse me. We have the Knicks defeating the Cavs. So that was the next game.
Yes.
What were your kind of thoughts from that game?
You know, I will sit here standing corrected from our takes at the beginning of the season. Brunson looks like he deserves that contract. You know, he's showing out. That's what you always want to see from a player who's getting paid big money. And I'm sure Dallas is just
kicking
clenching
themselves
their fists in frustration, watching the screen. But yeah, the Knicks. It's great that
Kyrie.
they got. If he resigns,
yeah.
But yeah, I think Knicks did great. I believe they did a small comeback led by Brunson in that last quarter. It was good having Randall back. I know he was out, I think, 2 weeks prior with an ankle injury. Yeah. So he was another effective thing to have, especially when you're playing a big inside team like the Cavs with Mobley and Jared Allen. So, you know, I'm hoping the Knicks can keep it up. I personally think the Cavs are going to take the series, just because I think the Knicks are still. I don't want to say immature, but I don't think their play as a team is mature enough to make it in the playoffs.
I'd agree with that. Yeah,
yeah. I think Julius Randle's a great player. Mitchell Robinson's a great player, but I haven't seen them shine when the moment's brightest.
This may be the year they build off of.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they could surprise everyone and take the series. I would maybe anticipate a deeper of the 7 games if they do end up taking it. But, you know, I don't see them going very deep, especially in a stronger Eastern Conference. And I think they'd be matched up with the Bucks next.
Well, they're 4-5, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't anticipate that going very well either.
Yeah, neither do I.
Cavs, you know, Donovan Mitchell having his probably career season right now.
Yeah.
Still not able to lead a team into a game 1 win, you know. I'm not saying he's a bad player. We've been very outspoken of how we felt about Donovan Mitchell in the past. I think he's doing fantastic this season. I'm not going to take that away from him. But if you're going to be moving to a team like the Cavs and you're going to be trying to be that star for that team, you need to be able to lead that team to a game 1 win against the Knicks. Because you have a great inside presence with Mobley and Jared Allen, literally fantastic big men who can defend all day for you.
Yep.
You have Okoro, who's a great defensive wing. Darius Garland, who's a fantastic facilitator, a little undersized as well, but great player. So this team, I would say they have this leader in Donovan Mitchell who has unfortunately been, you know, year in and year out, bounced out of the second round or the first round, but he has been to the playoffs frequently, a lot. So he should be able to understand what it takes to get past these kind of slumps that his team may have and be able to lead a team who barely has any playoff experience in general. It's kind of the same boat as the Knicks. You know, their playing together hasn't matured enough. But I think they are in at least from what I can tell from the outside looking in, I feel like their mindset is a little more concrete than I look at the Knicks.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I think they're team ball focused. No, yeah, you're good.
Yeah. So moving over to the last one, we got the 76ers and the Nets. Obviously, Joel Embiid's still doing his thing, still up for the MVP. We're still not sure if that's going to play out just yet. But, what are your thoughts on the 76ers and Nets thus far?
Glad the Knicks were able to hold on to the strong record they had before the trade. Mikal Bridges is doing fantastic. He's looking, from a fantasy standpoint, he's looking like a high mid-round pick right now, depending on how big your league is. Maybe late early rounds. But I think this is kind of where the road ends for them. The 76ers are meant to be a team going deep into the playoffs. You have a potential MVP candidate in Joel Embiid. Harden, who is having probably one of his best seasons as a leader and as a veteran. So I don't know exactly what was I going to say? Like, I don't know exactly how.
I don't know exactly what you were going to say.
I'm just saying, like, in the future, I feel like this Nets team doesn't have a face to them yet. They were kind of like, hey, we have all these guys for the second half of the season. Let's just, play hard, guys. Let's go out there and do it. Not that they're really expecting to win anything further. And I think that's a little dangerous to have as a mindset. There are teams they understand that I'm going to rebuild. And we had the incident with the Mavs, a couple weeks ago where they sat out their players because they knew if they made it in, probably wasn't going to be anything fruitful. So I think the Nets are kind of in the dangerous territory from what I can see them play. Like, they're playing to play. They're playing hard, not trying to lose, but they're not necessarily expecting to win. So I think that's going to be a little tougher for them to kind of recognize. And if they start showing some weaknesses for the Sixers, we've also been very outspoken. Sixers, you're a team built to win, and if you flub again, I don't know what to tell you. I really
we kind of brought it up earlier that we're like, well, if Kevin Durant can't make it out of the first round with this team, he's not a top 3 small forward of all time.
Yeah.
But he better make it out of this first round. That's all I'm saying.
Agreed.
But sliding over to our final part of this discussion, well, I initially had planned for you to talk about both East teams, but one of these East teams I will take for today. But I'll let you swing over. I'll let you talk about the Heat first. Wait, was it? No, not the Heat. Excuse me. The Raptors first, because the Raptors were just eliminated via the team that I'm going to be talking about, the Bulls.
Hey.
But, so talking about the Raptors, highlights, lowlights heading into the offseason. Obviously, they have, I believe, Fred VanVleet, Jakob Poeltl, and I think those are the 2 main kind of big-name free agents, and they're unrestricted. So kind of throwing it over to you, what are your kind of highlights, lowlights, and then obviously the Nick Nurse situation as well.
The Toronto Raptors, and I say this very, very kindly, in my opinion, were never a great team.
They just really are trash.
No, I mean, like, over the past, I would say 5 years, I never really considered them a great team. Even with Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard made them, that kind of higher seed team. They played well in the playoffs. And the East was a little weaker then. They deserved to make it to that finals against the Warriors. I don't think that team would have stayed as it is now roster-wise had Clay and Katie not got injured on the Warriors side. Because I'm pretty sure the Warriors would have taken that series. It would have made it tough. Kawhi is a great player and would have made it something of a game, that 7-game series. But, Kawhi ended up leaving. I think that team would have kind of blown it up a lot sooner had they not won that championship. But they think hey, this team has had success. We can keep this core together and move pieces around and make something better out of it.
We just did it. Let's do it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, riding the high of the win, yeah.
And it didn't compute. These past few seasons, they maybe have flirted with the playoffs, not making the playoffs. So it's kind of sad to see because I think Fred VanVleet is a great guard. I wouldn't say he's not a 1 or 2 option, in my opinion. But he's a great guard for that team, and he's their 1 or 2 option for that. Siakam, great player, kind of reminiscent of maybe like a poor man's Giannis, but he's not as aggressive kind of going into the hole. He's a little more play outside in whenever he can. You got OG Anunoby, who is a great shooter, great defender. Picking up Jakob Poeltl over the trade deadline was fantastic because he is a quality big man, and the Spurs have kind of been able to show that a lot more. So I'm looking at those guys as potentially being re-signed because we've mentioned they never had a big man consistently. They had Birch, they had Boucher, they had all these Precious Achiuwa. They never really had someone that they could say, yeah, you're going to start all 82 games if you're healthy.
Yeah,
it was like, oh, let's try you. With Poeltl, start him, absolutely. If you have to do an extension with Siakam, I would say that's the one guy you would try to keep. Fred VanVleet, he's probably going to look for the higher money pay. And considering how well he's done for your team, I wouldn't shell out the money for him. Because he is a little undersized. He's not the most athletic. He's not the quickest. He's a great shooter, but I don't see him. I see him being someone you can replace.
Yeah.
I don't know with who, but you can replace him. OG.
It's so ironic because I keep thinking like it'd be because his name has been tossed around with this team so often. I always think like, I mean, it'd be kind of stupid, but it'd be kind of funny if they were able to just do a straight up sign-in trade of Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry to get Fred VanVleet on the Heat. Just saying.
That would have been weird.
Yeah, just saying.
I'm sending it back, buddy.
Just money-wise, maybe get the nostalgic. They trade for DeMar. No, I'm just joking.
Bring back the duo.
Take him back.
But yeah,
DeMar still holds to the fact that they would have won since LeBron had already left. They would have won with him, even if it wasn't. Well, I was like,
I mean,
it's like,
sure,
I don't
buddy.
think he would have made that three that beat the Sixers. Just saying.
Oh yeah, that's true. But yeah, I think that's they just got to start resetting, especially if they're going to be losing Nick Nurse. You don't want a ton of guys who are just stuck in learning a brand new system with this brand new coach when you've been playing one way for this whole time. Maybe try to look for some draft picks from someone, trade off some of your role guys. They have Gary Trent Jr. right as well.
They do.
I would say maybe shell him off because he's like
he's a big contract for nothing.
He's a 14-2-2 player. I could really care less where he ends up going. So if you can trade him for some picks, maybe a role guy. But yeah, I think it's going to be a weird offseason for them. They're going to be a little bit of limbo, especially once they get the decision whether or not Nick Nurse is coming back. And if it doesn't work out, at least we can have them move forward out of that system. Because I would rather not see Nick Nurse, because I think he's a great coach. I would rather not see him dealing with another kind of shitty season if he does decide to come back and then all the stressors kind of reemerge. So we'll see.
I'm just saying, I think there was a rumor about it. I think he'd be a great fit with the Pistons, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, if Casey's going up to the front office,
that's what I'm saying. Why not? I mean, just the Toronto Raptors, but now with the Pistons. But yeah, that was great. Anyway, this is gonna be
anyway, good job, Nolan.
That was great.
Fantastic breakdown.
But moving over to you, Jared, we're gonna kind of wrap this up with the eliminated teams. Give me your thoughts on the two eliminated teams from the West. So we have the Oklahoma City Thunder and then the New Orleans Pelicans.
The Pelicans.
So what are your kind of thoughts, highlights, lowlights for each team heading into the offseason and then kind of what they got going on for the rest? Actually, before we get to that, real quick, because you did see the conversation prior to this, and I was in our little chat or whatever. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on sort of Zion kind of slow stepping it back, especially when it comes to these sort of like season-changing games, I guess you should say, because they obviously had a chance to make it into the playoffs.
So I was on both sides of your guys. Like I was on both sides. I can see both sides of it. Coming from a coach's point of view, coming from like a actual player. Like as a player, of course, I always want to play. Plain and simple. I'm pretty sure he does too. But I know, and I do understand that this is where I looked at it from a more managerial point. Pelicans GM came out and said that he wasn't cleared for 5-on-5. Whatever, I mean that could be said or whatever. It could be true.
It could be true. Not But
in my opinion, as a GM, I'm saying that because I'm protecting what is supposed to be my franchise player, my future, my everything. I invested all this money in him. We took the pick with him. We did everything we were supposed to do. And so if he's not 100%, and even if we are in that playoff run, there's two reasons for it. If we are in a playoff run, then I'm protecting that person. Yeah. Also, I don't need to be in the playoffs because I want a good draft pick next year.
Everybody wants Victor.
Exactly. So it's like I'm okay saying that he's not cleared for 5-on-5. Yeah. So therefore, I'm gonna try and hold him out because he is the franchise player. And if we can get Victor, then we're getting Victor, and we have him great. And then Victor can carry, and he can be that load management Kawhi person where we're gonna play you because you're a superstar, and we're gonna give you your time's rest because we don't want you to kill your body, which we haven't seen you for 2 years already. So I mean, so in my opinion, that's the managerial side of things.
You think he's gonna get a? You think he's gonna get a contract after this? Like a?
I don't think he's getting a max.
Yeah,
unless he comes out next year and he like balls and he plays a lot of minutes.
Like he has to play at least
he's got to play
games, 60 games.
No, he got to play at least 60 for me. I think at least 60 because you want the 20 game rest.
Yeah, I was like 70 is a little much now.
Coming back from a year, like a year and a half off, basically. Like you want him to have that 60 games, at least 20 games off, But I think if he does show that, he can get a contract. But as from a player's point of view, I mean, like you said, the league's getting soft. Everything's happening. Like everybody's about load rest management, and like you're getting paid to play. You're getting paid millions to be on the court. Do everything you can. LeBron James, and I always bring it back to it. I know you guys hate it, but LeBron James pays $1 million to freaking to take care of his body and play 70 plus games in a season unless he has like a stupid injury, but he's playing 70, 80 games in a season. That was my argument too, because I feel like 18 in the playoffs. I mean,
I feel like when you look at a guy like him, or if you look at a guy like Kobe, who also was very much so invested in like taking care of his body, it's like I don't understand how you make $250 million and you can't take $1 million a year out to just work, like especially for him, like that. See, that was my point. Is like if you can't do that with that amount of money, then like I don't understand.
How broken are you?
Yeah, like literally, like it's just like how can you not use the money to one, get on the right diet and nutrition, and then get on the physical therapy and get on this. Oh, there's so many treatments out there. I mean. Freaking Kobe was like one of the first to do like the cold treatment, and then we had freaking LeBron going in. He knows all the technological advances and all and I'm like, I don't understand how you're not paying attention to these examples.
I mean, you got Michael Jordan eating pizza, man. Come on.
Exactly. Like I was like we've advanced way further past that point. Like these guys should know by now. Like there's so many ways to take care. I don't know. That's why. That's what it got
with
me.
You guys. I think like in all honesty, it's more of a mindset thing.
Yeah,
everybody talks about like Kobe, LeBron, Michael. Like it's a mindset. Even though everybody complains that LeBron isn't that dog that they were. And not to change the subject, but I was watching.
We'll get into this on another.
But I was watching. I think it was an Instagram take, and Shaq said it. Like if LeBron didn't have a killer mentality, like how does he end up being the all-time leading scorer? It was like Shaq had all these weird points, and I was like. Oh, I never looked at it in that light. So, I mean, for me, you still got to have that want and will and that dog to be like, hey, I got to make sure I can play to do this. And his mentality is kind of too like, I want to play at Bronny, so I got to really take care of my body.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's playing for something. Look, Zion should be playing for. I was his face, and I don't want to be freaking what's his name? I don't want to be Greg Oden. Like he's going to be Greg Oden.
No, he's you're right.
He's literally going to be Greg Oden, who is like Ohio State looking to be the man, get drafted, and then, dude, where did you go?
I had high hopes for that dude.
I watched him in Ohio. It was Ohio State, right?
Yeah,
and I was like, dude, this guy could take the league by storm. He's a big man. He can score. He can defend. He moves well. Like I
completely unfortunate.
Yeah. So that's why I am with the Zion thing.
It just makes no sense. I don't understand. We have LeBron James, who's literally the freaking like perfect example of how to take care of your body and how to keep your career going, and it just doesn't
especially as a big athletic guy. Like that's what Zion is, a big athletic guy.
Like a guy who was technically oversized when he entered the league, you know what I mean? Everybody thought he was 265, which was too much or whatever he was when he first got in. And
I thought it was like 285 at one point.
You're right. Yeah, he bulked up during the heat time.
The heat time to 285. Everybody's like, this is a 6'8", 280 pound guy running at you, moving at the speed of light. And I'm like,
literally a semi-truck, but crazy. Anyway. But continuing on, sorry. So actually, we'll start with the Pelicans. Kind of highlights, lowlights for the Pelicans. What are your kind of thoughts for them heading into the offseason? Anything for them to build on, or are they just kind of still gotta, you know what I mean?
I still think they need an identity. Like I really think they need an identity. You know, you brought in CJ McCollum to help ease the scoring load. You had Brandon Ingram, who was injured, and he does little weird things. You know, he showed that the Pelicans is a perfect home for him. Like he does great things there. He's made a name for himself. He's been that steady guy for them. But looking past those two names, you don't really have much. You have somebody like Herbert Jones, Jackson Hayes, Larry Nance Jr., but I mean, Jonas, Valanciunas, Trey Murphy, Josh Richards. I mean, these names are not big names or starters kind of anywhere else anymore, at least, in my opinion. So when I look at it, it's like, and then we have the addition of Zion, cool. Yeah. But at the same time, like, if they get Victor, great. That means they're going to have an identity because they have that guy. Do he have that guy? He's him right now for every team that's in the lottery. Yeah. It's really what it's going to come down to. Every team that we say that they don't have an identity, he's that guy. Yeah. And he will have them
number one pick.
Exactly. Exactly. So for me, that's
Bulls still have a 1.6% chance.
Hey, that's all you need.
You know what's funny though?
Chance,
that 1% chance. The last time we had the 1% chance, they said was when we got Derrick Rose. So everybody's like Bulls conspiracy. Here we go.
There you go. Hey, you gotta speak it. You gotta manifest it.
I was going to say the league is rigged if the Bulls get this number one overall pick.
If the Bulls get it. I'm done with this podcast because I'm not only going to hear about Victor.
It's like number one overall. It's like, guys, we got the number one overall.
I'll be like, I'm sick that day. I can't do ATP.
Yeah. I was like, it'll be raining. It's gonna be a parade up in this place. For
real, dude. You're gonna have banners of Bulls everywhere. You're gonna have Wembanyama behind you.
Just gonna see, it's like my background changes to all Bulls stuff. That'd be fun.
But I mean, that's where it is for me with New Orleans. I don't have too many highlights, lowlights for them. I mean, there's more lowlights in my opinion. The fact that they made the play in and they showed that they played well, and they had a close game. What was it with the Lakers, right?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it was the Lakers. Yeah, and that was a good matchup. They're winning it at one point too. Was it back? No, it was. They played the Timberwolves. No.
Shoot, I can't remember.
No, they played the Timberwolves. Sorry, New Orleans played the other team.
Minnesota. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
So for me, that's kind of where I am with the Pelicans. But moving on to OKC. Now, OKC is a team that I really like. I really wanted them to win in that.
Me too,
in that matchup.
I know.
To take the 8th seed. I mean, SGA. What can you say? I mean, SGA is just a dog. He score. He could do it all. Like, I love watching that kid play. And then you got Josh Giddey and Dort. They're great. They're great. It's like sidemen to him. And then the two Williams, the Jalen's. Yeah. I mean, that's a nice top. That's a nice 5 right there. And then you got to think about it in this regard. They have Chet.
Yep.
I mean, everybody forgets from the beginning, but they have Chet. And Chet, we know what Chet can do.
Yeah.
If he comes back healthy and stays healthy, of course, like a Zion thing.
Give this boy some food. You know what I mean? Like,
dude.
Just 10 to 15 pounds.
It's like KD. Remember, KD was this, and then we kind of made him kind of like this. I mean, like, I was like, maybe like little half, like there. But I mean, you put some meat on him, and KD was a little more of a viable piece because he had all the tools, and now he's not just going to get thrown around.
Yeah,
and Chet's kind of the same way.
If he ends up getting even like, I would say my perfect glow up version that I would like to see him get to is like what Lauri Markkanen did. Lauri Markkanen packed on like 25 pounds from when he first got in the league till now, and it shows. I mean, boy looks jacked now. I was like, and it helped. It's just
I mean, look at him now, man.
I'm like, exactly. He's an all-star. And he can bang in the middle very easily now. So
he's not afraid to go into the paint. Like before, it was kind of like, hey, I'll hit him in range. But and Chet's got that ability to go to the basket. It's just what's going to happen when he goes to the basket is the question, So I think
if LeBron pushes or like runs into him again and breaks his leg or whatever.
Like, dude, sorry.
It's
it's not my fault. You're a twig, bro. Come on,
exactly. Legit. That's what I'm like, bro. Like
semi-truck twig.
That was literally one game. I'm like, imagine how many times it's gonna happen throughout your career. Like,
I mean, you're gonna have like the Pat Bevs, right, or the bigs that are gonna be like, dude, I'm gonna welcome to the league, and they're just gonna freaking like body you every single time.
Yep.
So for me, like with them, it should be. I like their what they've
core.
Done throughout this season, their core. I like their identity right now. Adding Chet is only going to give them more. Frick, man, you give Victor and Chet on the same court. I don't even know, man.
It'd be stupid.
That's scary. But I don't know how probable that is. But you said it's a lottery, right? You never know who gets him.
You have to. If you get the first, you have to take him and then figure it out.
Exactly.
Like,
I mean, and then
it's
like,
do we unload Victor at the 5?
Or do you unload Chet? Because, hey, he's not coming back as healthy as we want. And
I'm trying it first
as a young
and then saying,
exactly.
That's stupid.
You got the two bigs right there that can stretch and do everything. Like, why not? But
that'd be so stupid.
So for me, like that's the highlight of this team. Like they found their identity. They had a great
ton of upside.
They have a great leader. Exactly. They have a good amount of youth on it to really make something of themselves in the upcoming years. So
I agree.
Oklahoma City, you got a thumbs up from me.
It's like Jared F's with juice. No.
Yeah.
Oh God. Anyway, but yeah, I was just saying, I really like Alexei Pokashev's. Is it Alexei Pokashevsky?
Like that? Yes, the one that was out. Yes,
yeah, because I like his game a lot too. He's another stud that I think is like just like dude in the making. Man, I was like, if this team can keep these guys together, Luthor is another one of my favorites right now, just because he's just. That's what he does, his role. But that'll be
they do their job
to watch for sure. Oh yeah, 100%.
Surprisingly, right? You do your job, you win.
I was like, that's so weird, huh? If you just do your role, exactly.
Sounds like my teams. Always said is do your job.
Shout out to Team Huddle. No, I'm just joking.
We'll get there. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. I guess so. Now we'll kind of get into my spiel on the Bulls. Obviously. A disappointing ending to a disappointing season. It's been a long road to mediocrity for us. And I think that some of the fans out there that I feel like constantly are asking for us to just go straight rebuild. Like, I agree that it should be kind of one way or the other normally. And the only reason I disagree for this specific point is because of the fact that we really don't have the necessary assets to make said trades to do like a legit rebuild. As much as I'd like to say DeMar DeRozan's going to get us anything of value back, I really don't see him garnering too much. I mean, the teams that are desperate enough won't be giving us much of anything of note. We had our chance when the Lakers were possibly thinking about giving us 2 first-round picks in the future, and then we didn't do that. So, and then obviously we got Nikola Vucevic kind of going to be a free agent this year. Ayo Dosunmu going to be a free agent.
Vooch is going to want that money.
Yeah. Kobe White will be a free agent, but thankfully for at least Kobe White and Vooch, we do own bird rights on them, so we do have the ability to match if they do decide to go anywhere. The only unfortunate thing is I really do feel like we really need to think about moving DeMar DeRozan. I love him as a player. I love his character. He's a very good veteran guy. I think he did help Zach, and I do think that he sort of embodies what we were trying to do, which was really have a culture of like bringing people in that, you know, are respected in the league and kind of give us that notoriety back, because for all of like the last 10 years before we got this new management group, we kind of had a reputation of being like not good at signing these kind of guys, like the big name free agents. So, you know, he was good to us. He probably was the best player at some point during, you know, whatever, you know, these last couple of seasons. But for me, he's just not a good fit. And if I'm breaking it down to a point where I want to, like, you know, really change up the team, he has to go. Where he'll go, not sure. I don't really have an idea of who to trade him to, who's desperate enough to really make a trade for him and give us something of note. So there's that. I do think Kobe White was fantastic all year. So for me, as a highlight for the year, Kobe White would not even have called it. I think I literally had this discussion on pod where I was like, Ayo Dosunmu, we're keeping him.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be the other way around.
But, bro, Kobe White really showed out. I know it's his contract year, but it's like if you pay attention to what he's been doing the last couple of years, he really took the time to really put the time in and really develop his game. So I'm very happy with Kobe White. I hope he gets to stay around. I hope we kind of give him a chance to possibly start in the future, just because I do like that he's earned his way onto the team defensively and offensively. And as far as what we're going to do over the offseason, fingers crossed, there's a chance we still get Victor Wembanyama. I was telling Jared earlier that we actually have the exact same chance of getting the number 1 pick as we did the time that we got Derrick Rose, which was the last time that we had the first overall pick.
Like 2%?
It's like 1.8%. So, but we also have, yeah, exactly. We also have like an 8% chance at keeping our pick, which is like in the top 4. It has to land in, I believe. So, hopefully we get it. We'll see what happens.
That would be crazy.
If that does happen, boy, that's what I was telling Jared. I was like, I'm gonna become a real big Victor Wembanyama fan all of a sudden.
Start having like a French flag behind you.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. Like, like all that, like I'm on my Chicago Bulls stuff all over here. But yeah, I'm excited. It'll be a fun time. Either way, I think those are fantastic points. I mean, you were a lot more in depth than Jared was, so that was fantastic for your breakdowns for the. He can't even react, which is more funny.
Well, Jared's right there.
Yeah, that'll do it, I think, unless you guys have any other thoughts. But anyway, that'll do it for us here on Athletes Anonymous Presents After the Buzzer. Yeah, that was a fantastic episode. Great breakdowns. Great job, guys. It's so cool that we're all in the same studio together.
Oh, you already know.
I know the video is going to be even more weird. Anyway, Jared, where can the people find you?
I am on Instagram and Twitch at jshirai, JSHIRAI, and on Twitter at jshirai808.
Right on. Nolan, where can the people find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch at NolanKYT, NOLANKYT.
Cool. And Keone, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch at Kone. That's KAYOHKNEE. You can also check us out on Instagram at The Poi and Soy Podcast. Like I said, thank you for joining us on After the Buzzer. As always, it has been a pleasure. It's been a joy from all of us here. Poi and Soy.
Good vibes and love, everybody.
Bang, bang.
Choose.